Black people are under attack in America. But we are not victims and we are not powerless. Our fundamental rights are under assault and our very history is being denied. But we will not stand by quietly as it happens.
The goal is to condition this generation to white supremacy because they see this generation is pushing against this far right-wing fascist ideology. We want our freedoms. We want our people to be safe. And so seeing that as an existential threat to the Republican Party, they aim to change the way a generation thinks by changing what we teach them.
Members of the Congressional Black Caucus did not hold back at a press conference on the state of race in America earlier this week on Capitol Hill. The group highlighted a slew of right-wing attacks on blackness and civil rights, like the ideologically driven Supreme Court ruling that put an end to affirmative action, the challenges to voting rights and equitable redistricting seen recently in states such as Alabama and Louisiana, the onslaught of book bans and revisionist curriculum standards for teaching Black history, and the lack of action to address the Black maternal mortality crisis in a post-Roe v. Wade landscape. In the words of Congresswoman Terry Sewell of Alabama, old battles have indeed become new again. Joining me now is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressman Steve Horsford of Nevada, and NYU history professor and author of Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present, Ruth Ben-Ghiat. Thank you both very much for coming to the Sunday show. This is an interesting pairing, but the conversation we are about to have is going to merge what each of you has been talking about separately on our air for months now. And Congressman, let me start with you. How dangerous of a moment in time is this for Black Americans?
Well, thank you for having me on, Jonathan. I'm here in Boston at the NAACP National Convention, meeting with President Johnson and leaders across the country, along with our members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And in fact, we did a Democracy for the People event just yesterday, talking to constituents here in Boston in Congresswoman Presley's district. And what we hear all across the country as part of our summer of action is Black people literally feel attacked. There's a ban on Black, a ban on Blackness happening. It's targeted, it's well-funded, it's organized, and it's orchestrated. And what we are saying as the Congressional Black Caucus is that we're not going back. We're not going to be silenced. We're going to call out those who are promoting this division in our country, from the Supreme Court to state legislatures who are attacking our fundamental rights and eroding our freedoms, whether that's on women's reproductive justice, whether that's on access to college, whether it's protecting our most fundamental right, which is our right to vote. We have fought too hard for these freedoms, and we're not going back.
Mm-hmm. And Congressman, we have heard some controversial race-related comments from some Republicans. Congressman Eli Crane, Republican of Arizona, referred to Black people as, quote, colored people on the House floor, and then claimed he misspoke. Meanwhile, Senator Tommy Tuberville, Republican of Alabama, asserted a few times and then backtracked a few times that white nationalists are not racist. Why is it important to call this out?
Well, Jonathan, when these individuals use racist tropes, terms that have very negative, derogatory history and meaning, whether it's the term colored people on the House floor in 2023 or Senator Tuberville saying that white nationalists are not racist. If they're not racist, then what are they? And every time I think they use the word woke, I want to ask them, who are you talking about? Is it Black people? Is it other people of color? Is it the LGBTQ community? Is it women? Because all of these attacks, whether it's on women's access to health care, whether it is providing for fair and free maps, how is it that the state legislature in Alabama can defy the Supreme Court, who told them you have to have two opportunity districts, which essentially means that Black people deserve to have equal representation. And in Alabama and in Louisiana, they are now defying the Supreme Court. This is a ban on blackness, and the Congressional Black Caucus won't stand for it.
And Ruth, more to the point, the CBC took aim at Governor Ron DeSantis and his efforts to de-emphasize race in his state's public school curriculum. And you also see school districts like the one in Houston, Texas, who are eliminating libraries, and in that specific case, converting them to discipline centers. How do attacks on information, books, and libraries play into the authoritarian playbook you talk so often about?
Yeah, I want to talk. It's how the pieces fit together, and so there's a war on blackness at the ballot box, disenfranchising blacks. There's a war actually on blacks at their places of employment through the suppression of diversity and inclusion initiatives. And there's the war on blackness and education. And all of these things fit together. And whenever I hear, about DeSantis or others' anti-wokeness, I think of a line I have in my book from somebody who lived under the dictatorship in Chile. And he says, dictatorships want people to go to sleep. And so, all of the education initiatives of the GOP, they mirror the disenfranchisement of black people at the ballot box by not only erasing major parts of their history, but rewriting history in ways that satisfy, white people. So it's an extension, and it's the way these things fit together. There's an overall plan which stands out to me as somebody who studies the GOP as an autocratic party.
Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump, running for president, has two criminal indictments against him, and yet each time an indictment is announced against him, his poll numbers go up. And on the campaign trail, as he has been doing this week, he'll go out there and tell his crowd, like he did last night at a rally, "I'm being indicted for you." This is standard for him on the campaign trail and standard for dictators, no?
Yeah, because, he has to be the victim. And by extension, what he's done now is the more hot water he's in, the more he knows that maybe some people eventually think he has too much baggage. So what you really want is to get people feeling there's an existential threat against them. And so he's being indicted for them. He just stands in the way because they're the real targets. And if we relate this to the questions of race and education, it's creating an educational and emotional environment so whites feel that they're under attack all the time, and criminalizing black people and non-whites in general, non-Christian whites, is part of this game to keep people in a state of tension. And, the Prager curriculum that Ron DeSantis is adopting, which is not accredited, by the way, it's a propaganda outfit. And all of these GOP, education measures, they all have the same language, that they want to remove emotional distress, like sources, things that make white people feel guilty. And so they can feel like, victims. And so Trump playing on white victimhood, this has been one of his strongest cards.